hello, everybody. Guess what today is? Today is Talk to Me Tuesday, where we're sharing helpful networking tips to help grow your business. My name is Tandra Price, Dr. Tandra Price, and I am your host for today. I am so super excited because we have an amazing guest, y'all. That you know what, I cannot wait for you to meet her. You know what, I had the pleasure of meeting her a couple years ago, I think at the Leadership Experience Tour, and we have just been connected ever since. I'm telling y'all, this lady is on fire, Miss B. Jacqueline Jeters. But before we get started, I always kind of like to do our little house rules so everybody kind of makes sure that they're following along with us. One, I want to make sure that you have your pen and paper so you can take notes like mine. So you can take notes so you can be able to use some of these references and tools later to maybe implement in your business because we do know that note takers are money makers. Two, I want you to join in with us with the conversation. Kind of from me, everyone knows my little favorite saying is woo woo, woo 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 woo. When something is really good and that juice is just coming out, you can put it in the comments. And three, please like and share this broadcast because of the fact that we know that entrepreneurship cannot be done by itself. It's done with amazing people just like us that come onto these particular platforms. But more importantly, it's about building collaborations and building relationships. And lastly, I just want to shout out to one of our sponsors here with our program or with our broadcasting is On Stage Plus TV. They're with us and they'll be broadcasting this as well with us. So I'm super duper excited. So now, listen, let's just get into this tea so we can make sure that we get all this good information before the time expires because, you know, I can talk up a storm. So I want Miss B. Jacqueline Jeter to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about you.
I am so excited to be on this. So thank you, Dr. Tandra Price, and congratulations on your honorary doctorate for having me on Talk to Me Tuesday. I'm B. Jacqueline Jeter. I'm located in Raleigh, North Carolina area. And I am a transformational growth and mindset strategist. That is my business. I'm also still in my career. So I have a 9 to 5, so to speak, in pharmaceutical development. I have a 30-year career in pharmaceutical development and research. I am so passionate about growth and seeing people move from that place of that seed to that tree or that bush or that flower or where they're supposed to be. So I have I'm the founder and visionary of the company Grow, Lead, and Prosper. And it's got 2 arms, so to speak, under this umbrella. One is for corporate and organizational structures where I help organizations and individuals to equip them with getting down to the nitty gritty of what's keeping them from being high performing teams and individuals. So I have a myriad of offers to that. And then I also equip women who are in their mid 40s and older to annihilate really the low vibrating mindset they're in and develop a growth mindset so they can show up as that influential, impactful, and brilliant person that God created them to be.
Wow. Listen, that's a lot by itself. Listen, we got a little bit of corporate. Hey, we got a little bit of business on the other side. So, you know, mirroring both of those together is just amazing. So, Jacqueline, like I said, you know, we got to meet each other at the Leadership Experience Tour, which was really amazing. It really taught me a lot just, you know, being on the stage. But tell our audience just a little bit about your journey and how you kind of, you know, got in with the corporate sector and then how you kind of ventured into another piece of what you're doing today.
Well, I've been in corporate America for a while, since the early 90s. Yes. I know I don't look like I'm 55, or 56.
I mean, you look beautiful. You just look beautiful.
And so the company that I worked for at that time was very big about personal and professional development. And so they offered a myriad of classes, and I'm a sponge when it comes to stuff like that. So I grew a lot in that. And then I was talking to other colleagues and I realized that they don't have other companies and they didn't have that opportunity. They didn't have the ability to be able to, or work for a company that actually poured into them. Because the motto at that time was a happy and well-equipped employee is a loyal employee. And we were very loyal. And so that's one piece of how I'm really passionate about that. A lot of corporations now do not even have a budget or a lot of a budget or don't offer anything past certain areas of the levels of the C-suite to employees. And so they have to kind of find what they need to do or what they don't need to do. But what they fail to understand is that the crux or the strength of that pyramid is in the center. that mid-range that you're not really truly pouring into effectively. So to help them understand that, and also to help teams, also the things I gleaned. So one thing people say, I left corporate America, now I'm entrepreneur, but what did you learn when you're there? Take those skill sets with you. Don't just leave them there when you left the building. And so I've got a lot of things with coaching. I was also, part of my role was as a job plus coach. That was one of the things that I developed. Those were my personal development roles that I did at the company I was there. And so that's when I realized I've been coaching all along. And so it just became more formalized at that time. So when the time came, unfortunately, when, this business reorganization came and a couple thousand of us were back to the other side of the welcome mat, I had to realize, what am I going to do next? And am I going to use this coaching piece in an actual business, which I did create that because I'm a certified speaker, leader, and trainer with the John Maxwell team. And I'm also a certified vision coach. So I'm very passionate about seeing people break out of those labels. Because sometimes we'll say, oh, that person's good at this, and they get pigeonholed in something. And so that's kind of where this journey kind of has been for me. And I did go back into the pharmaceutical arena because that's where another passion of mine is. And I love that. So that's kind of been the kind of journey of how I've kind of evolved to where I am now.
You know what? You spoke a lot right there. Now, listen, I hope everyone kind of got what she just said, because it was like some juice. So I'm going to say woo on that. Because what she really said was about the personal development side of it. And actually, taking the skills that you've learned in order to be able to build on what your passion is now. And we know too, a lot being in the corporate with everything going on, you know what? I think a lot of times people leave those skills behind because they try to reinvent themselves into what they're looking at trying to do right now. But really, they had the skills that they needed. They just needed to transfer them over. Would you agree?
I totally agree. And that's really kind of the crux of one of the programs that I have with working with women is look at what you've already done. A lot of times we do so much as women. Now I know men, you do a lot too, but we multitask and we have a lot of things going on. We forget that genius that we already have. Someone looks at you and say, "Oh my God, you did all that." You're like, "That's what I do every day." I mean, this is nothing big. This is what I do. And so we forget that. So we have to take that pause to take that inventory of all the things you've done. I had to do it for myself. I had women to come to me during the transition from the company we were in to kind of the holding company we were at before we really finally released. And then people I met like at the, we were given about a year of job assistance and assistance to get other things and stuff like that. And so people I met at that facility, I was talking to someone, I said, well, what about this? And I was talking to this one lady and I said, have you thought about this part? And she was like, do you work here? And I was like, I don't, I'm here like you are. So it's those things that people don't stop and pause and take that inventory of what they've already done. She's like, I could use this skill set. I had this one lady who came to me and she's like, I don't want to go back into pharma. I want to take this dream of being a baker and do XYZ. I said, so what did you learn when you're in pharma to do that to help you build your business? And when you do that thing, she's like, this is not going to be so scary after all. So a lot of times we just need that push or start peeling back that layer of the onion as to I have more going for me than I have against me. And
absolutely.
And the reason why I'm with women, I feel I'm called women in their mid 40s is we're at that point where we're not dealing with a lot of BS anymore. We did before. And we realize that if I'm going to do XYZ, if I'm going to be fulfilled, I've been Johnny's mother, Timmy's husband, Elizabeth's, mom, whoever. And I've had this mask on of who people think I am, but it's not really who I feel like I am. I'm not feel like I'm breathing. So that's one thing that we as women in that range, we start looking at, I probably have less days ahead of me than I have behind me. And so I'm going to make them count. And it's a pivot point and a turning point in our lives. And so we're at a point where we have to stop and see what we've done before and what can we do going forward and how can we use those skill sets and those strengths to apply them to what we need to do to move forward.
Oh my God. I mean, you didn't say a whole lot. You didn't say a whole lot. Look, listen, if y'all see me bending down, y'all know my head bending down because I'm trying to take a note, okay? So real quickly, I'm just going to set the room. This is Talk to Me Tuesday, where we share helpful networking tips to help grow your business. And we have the amazing Jacqueline Jeter here with us today, really dropping this TT on us. So, I like what you just said and all that information, because I know you know what? I think a lot of times what happens, especially when we have the ladies, of our age, like you said, especially in the 40s, they feeling like, they have to make that transition. Everything changes. And it's like, they in their mind, because it's a mindset that they have to start from the beginning, like I have to go out here and figure out, how to do what I really want to do. It's like you said, because we have been things to everybody, we didn't have an opportunity to peel the onion down, or layers of the onion, to see exactly who we are,
Right.
and what it is that we want to do, and what it is that we're really passionate about, and knowing that the skills that we have, we can use them. And you know what, I was kind of in the same similar situation. I ended up getting laid off. I mean, I love networking, I love talking to people, but what I was able to do was to take that and then implement that into what I do now to help other ladies just as yourself. So how would you say all of that would be connected to building up a person's network? Now that, hey, I'm here, I know the skills and set, I know what my passion is, but now the one thing I gotta do is I gotta find somebody to talk to, somebody to share this information with. So how would you describe that in a way of ladies helping ladies build their network?
Just telling them to show up, because
Mm.
networking is, a lot of times people get this negative visceral response about networking. They think about someone coming up to them and saying, "Hi, here's my card," because we've had that before. And people, if you never you never came past that connotation in your head. But networking is really just conversational. It's really just relational, because studies do show it takes 5 to 7 touch points for someone to even really kind of buy into what you're trying to probably sell them. Because a lot of times with networking, there is an exchange, or you want to make an exchange with something. I want you to be on my program. I want you to do this. People have to kind of know who you are. I think for you and I, we saw each other in Facebook, and we didn't meet till like another year or so later. And then here we are 2 years later, basically. So it's about relationship, and networking to me really is just showing up. For anything, you have to do is for anything, you have to show up. I've had people to reach out to me to be on their platforms, or people who I don't even know. That's because I've shown up doing a live or doing some kind of post or somewhere in social media, something like this. They'll reach out, but that's networking to me, because I didn't come to them and say, "Hi, I'm Jacqueline Jeter. This is what I do." You let people see your transparency, see you transparently, and see your authenticity, because you can't really truly network. A lot of times people think communication is, well, I sent you the email, I left you a message. That's not communication. That's a dump. Communication is when you're on the same page in the same book at the same time. You have the same understanding of something. So to me, networking, to tell someone how they network, is just get out and be around people, be around and show up in spaces where you really want to make an impact, or you really feel that you're called.
Listen, I'm gonna have to stop you right there, because look, that's that lane I love. You know what? To me, I think networking is anything that, anytime you're trying to put a message out there. I think, like you said, it's conversational, it's relationship all the time. Whether you meet somebody at a grocery store or a gas station, you are having just a straight, no filter conversation just about what's happening at the current moment. And then that leads into, hey, by the way, what do you do? But I think every time you're trying to put a message out there, it is networking. That's the conversational piece.
Yeah.
So when we talk about even what you do and how you are, connecting and making that transformation with those ladies, how do you see the networking plays a part in that? Because now I do know that once we've been in the corporate world, and like you said, we have been so used to, thinking in our mind that networking is about going to so many different events, being in a room with people that we don't like, we don't know. I mean, it's just such an awkward feeling, because people, I'm telling you, I think that since networking has really been reinvented, people still kind of have that old mindset about how networking used to be.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, now we have to take it to, what is a relationship? What does that look like for me in my 40s, trying to now build this business, or now, explore my passion? I mean, what does that really look like? And how do you help ladies with that?
Well, help tell ladies is, again, just to show up in spaces where I used a lady who wanted to do the bakery, and she is baking. When you go to these trade shows or shows that you go to, you're learning from people, and you're like, well, hi, my name's whatever. And so that's networking. You're already networking. You're not saying, this is what I do. They already know you have an interest in baking because you're at this trade show. So they already kind of know that. So you have to, certain things you have to tell them. Don't be inauthentic. It's the thing about networking is authenticity. So doing that for your business, going to those things, going to those conferences and stuff like that, you never know who you meet in a room. I've been to conferences and I've met multimillionaires in a room, and we have a relationship. And I've been, can you come and do a training for my small team? Of course. Am I going to say no to that? No. But that became from networking because we just met at a conference. Is anyone sitting here? No. Or, I mean, it's just a simple conversation. It's just being real. It's just really talking to someone without the thought or premeditated thing that I'm going to do something for them so they'll see me and recognize me. Because then people know your energy's off. They know when you're not authentic. They really do. So, I mean, I've picked up or had people to ask me things when I've presented in someone else's group, and they saw that, and then they reached out to me. Going through this past year where I've gone through breast cancer, I've met people in the infusion room, and it's just wild that after so many conversations, you have something maybe in common. Someone may see something you have on and say, "I like that. That's really nice. That's pretty. Where'd you get those shoes?" And you start talking about XYZ. You're like, oh, that person? Oh, this is what I do. Well, we should get together and collaborate. Networking. It's that simple. It's a simple conversation.
It really is. So you know what? I love what you do because I think that what you're doing is something so amazing. I think taking ladies to a whole nother level. I know that it is multiple layers to that. And again, I always say that everything is networking. And by having those multiple layers, I mean, there's a certain mindset. Would you agree that now we have to come out of corporate and come into entrepreneurship? I mean, how would you coach a person or what would you say to a person in that particular incident?
From who's come from corporate to an entrepreneur?
Yeah, we have now got to make that transition, right?
It is. I think for me, it depends on what your mind, like I said, your mindset is. If you have a growth mindset or what you really want to learn, if you feel I learned everything I've learned, I can't learn anything else, that's already an obstacle. It's right having the right perspective about it. Let them know, just being real with them. Entrepreneurship and corporate America is two totally different things, right? Because in corporate America, even though it was frustrating, it was this, it was that, you had a plethora of people around you. In entrepreneurship, it might just be you. So you might be the janitor, the one who's cooking, the one who is giving the insight, the one who's walking the vision out. You're everything until you can build your business up and stuff like that. But that transition is really looking at, taking that pause and saying, do you have realistic expectations? I'll take clients on what I call the nitty gritty. And I have a thing called a nitty gritty blueprint. And I'll take them through a series of
Wait a minute, the nitty gritty blueprint. Yeah, I hope y'all wrote that down. Listen, she just dropped a gem. Woo. She said the nitty gritty blueprint. I ain't never heard of that, but I didn't got it down. Keep going.
And I had a client to tell me this is a very painful experience, and it can be painful when you have to ask these questions. So I let them know that when I was younger, I was born to parents who were much older. So there's 2 years of my siblings, and then there's 5.5, almost 6 years, and there's me. So I was that child who's always like, but why? And then being a scientist, I'm always asking why, right? So I kind of had that same kind of mentality, so to speak, when it comes to helping that person break through that mindset or that issue or that challenge that is keeping them held. And when they say, I have this goal, say you had a goal to lose 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is this the first time you've hit this goal? Or it's been a moving target? And so those questions there's a C. So why do you think you did not make it the first time?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. So you look at those things that were issues before, and then I take them through that series of the nitty gritty, which is painful because it gets down to that last grain of sand in different categories to help them to see, is this goal achievable? Or am I saying I want to lose 20 pounds in in 2 weeks. That's not realistic. I want to lose 20 pounds in 2 months. Is that realistic based on these things? And so when you're going from corporate to being an entrepreneur, you have to really kind of think about and count the cost. I mean, even the word of God tells us what man tries to build a house without counting the cost. You got to count the cost of what it looks like for you. The mentality you have to take is that you have to take your mentality to another level. Because again, you are everything. And when it's
you're the whole, listen, everybody, you the whole everything. Just like she said, the janitor, the stapler, the typist, the dictator, everything. Okay, keep going.
So you got to think about that. You were getting a check twice a month or once a month or however you're getting it, like clockwork. And now you might see dust flying through your credit account because you're like, I didn't get a check. But you got to think about and count the cost. So the biggest mentality, the biggest switch is really giving them a realistic mentality with understanding what is it you expect to see? Do you have a realistic expectation? And giving them the understanding of this is how you transition from there to there. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I'm still in corporate America, but I have a plan for transitioning out. And so did you have a plan or did you just quit one day and say, I'm just out?
Okay, we got to stop there, B, because listen, no takers are money makers. So I want to say, you're right. First of all, having the mentality of having a plan, having an exit strategy before you get ready to walk out of the door. And a lot of us don't do that. You know, it's like an overnight sensation or overnight thought came to you. Like, what was that John Maxwell said that, you know what, if you can't find one good thing about your business, then you know what, you all are just, or one thing you like about your business, then maybe this is not the right fit for you. And then a lot of times people just be like, okay, next day, girl, I quit. You know, I just can't I can't find nothing in here I like, but they didn't have that extra strategy. So guess what? You're going to see that dust account because you didn't properly plan. But I want to go back to the nitty-gritty blueprint. Nitty-gritty blueprint. Because one thing I had a conversation with about someone was about goals. You know what I'm saying? I said, does your habits oversee your goals or does your goals oversee your habits? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when we are setting goals, we have to create the habit to me. And anybody out there, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you have to start creating habits to make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do in order to hit your goals.
Exactly, you do. Because if you want to lose weight, but you don't want to stop eating cake, that's a problem.
That's a problem. You have to get into the habit of not eating the sweets in order to get to your goal. Right. But let me ask you this question in the nitty gritty blueprint. So do you think that, girl, go ahead on. I didn't mess up my question. Girl, I had a good question. I was going to say something about the goals of the fact that, you know what? Do you think our goals are just temporary to our habits? Because you know what I found is that once people hit their goal, they never created the habit, but they hit their goal and they says, oh my God, now I've hit my goal. But do you really think that it was a win-win situation within creating their habits that they will be able to continue? I don't know if everybody's following me what I'm trying to say.
I think that, so you're saying that once they hit that goal, what do they learn along the thing?
Yeah.
What do they learn to transition or to transform? Yeah. I think a lot of times people shift, and I don't like to use the word shift because if you shift this way, you can shift right back. I always say transform because you never see it. I was talking to actually Dr. Rhonda Wood the other day, and she said this, and I'm like, you wouldn't realize what I was writing this morning has the same words. You never see a butterfly becoming a caterpillar again because it transformed. And so when people, I think it's a dual, it's both, it's a mix. I can say with the clients I work with, taking them through that nitty gritty, they are creating habits because it kind of forces you to. It kind of forces you to look at, do I want to do this or not? Am I up to this? Because it hits on the mental piece, your execution, all of that, your intentionality. Yeah. And so a lot of times you can say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 2 months, but it might be easy for you to lose weight. With a man, that's easy for the most part because men lose weight thinking about it.
Yes.
And so the other thing is understanding what your why and how it's attached to you. Why do you want to lose 20 pounds? To be more healthier, to do whatever. If you're losing 20 pounds to go to an event, what if that event is canceled?
Huh.
You gonna give up losing 20 pounds?
Oh, wait a minute. We gotta stop right there, because when you're talking about, okay, y'all listen. I hope y'all getting these gems down, these woo down. Because again, I like what you just said about the why. I think a lot of times we forget the real reason why we're doing what we're doing. And just like you said, I mean, you made a good point. Hey, you lose 20 pounds to go to an event, but guess what? The weather didn't change or whatever, and it got canceled. So what was the why? I mean, did your why, what somebody said once before, your why should be enough to scare you.
Yes.
So, and if it's not scaring you or getting you up every morning or frighten you, then, you got to kind of go back and, I guess, inventory, like you said, do another inventory on what we're really talking about or where we're trying to go. Go ahead on. I didn't mess you up.
No, fine.
Yeah, I had to say that because I was thinking, like, everybody, I think everybody has a different why. But really, when it comes to our business, and please listen to us, audience, that we started for a reason, whether it was to change someone's life, to make a transformation, whether it was to make our lives and our family lives better. We have to stay focused on that in order to get us through the hurdles and through the dust where we ain't got no money in our bank account. You know what I'm saying? Because why got to be enough to scare you. Okay, keep going on, Miss. I got down to the nitty gritty and all the goals, but that was one thing when I said, okay, she talk about goals, and a lot of times we don't really, we focus on a goal, but once we hit our goal, then guess what? It's over.
You people kind of go back to whatever, but that is all attached to your why. I think your habits change if your why is big and scares you and is defined and you're wedded to it. When it's not, you don't really create a habit. It's just like, oh, did that, check. And if your goal is not big enough as well, your goal could be anything. Your goal could be like, I am going to make sure I fold up these clothes that have been in this extra room for 2 weeks. That could be a goal.
Honey, that's a goal. And that's a win once you do it.
And so did your habit change? You just get that done. Sometimes you just get that done, and then 2 weeks later, there's more clothes in there. But if your habit changed, okay, so I won't have to go through this right here again. What am I going to do differently? And so you start implementing that. Because my why is I want to spend more time doing something else than folding up these doggone clothes. So when your why is clarified and defined, it will help you change your habits, because I don't want to do this part right here again. I don't want to gain that 20 pounds back. I have to go through another 20 pound, purge. So I'm not going to keep eating cake. I'm going to eat something else. So I think when your why is defined, and again, I take clients to that. When your why is defined, it helps change those habits. If you don't have a definite why or a big enough goal or something that really, like you said, scares you or really pushes you out of that space of comfort. We've heard of our comfort zone. If it doesn't speak you out of that space of comfort, like, oh, I've done this before. Girl, I do this all the time. Every 2 weeks, I got to fold clothes. Well, do you like doing that? Because that hour could be doing something else.
You know what? I'm so big. I have my thing, and a lot of those who tune into me know that I talk about the 10 things before 10. And that's a habit for me. That's a habit that helps me to generate income producing activities for my business, and marking those things off, So, but I want to go back to where you said the butterfly, because we had Dr. Allison on last week, and she kind of really gave us the mind all your own business Baptist church sermon. But she talked about the butterfly. So you ride the butterfly in the caterpillar. Just go a little bit more deeper on that for our audience, please. And then we're going to take some questions, because we got a bunch of questions flying over here in this chat.
I mean, no, I don't really use the butterfly caterpillar in when I'm presenting. I just used that the other day when I was talking about, someone said, we're talking about stuff, and she said, networking again. She's a friend of mine was talking this here. I told you need a mindset shift. I know somebody who will help you with that. And I said, well, I'm not the person to help you with a mindset shift. I can help you with the mindset recalibration and a mindset transformation. Because when you shift, you can say that again. Back to where you are.
Say that again. You said it too fast. Say that part again. Because listen, I'm telling you, I got people over here. Say it a little bit slow for me.
Okay, I'll say it slower. I do talk fast. That's one of my gaps. I said that a friend of mine reached out and she said, I know someone who needs help with the mindset. They need a help with the mindset shift. And she said, I know a person who can help you with that. Again, the networking piece. You see how that worked with the networking. And she said, and she told me about it. And I said, well, I can't help her with the mindset shift. Because once you shift one place, you can shift right back to where you were. I can help her with a mindset recalibration and a mindset transformation. And if she's ready for that,
calibration and transformation mindset.
Yeah. Because if she's ready for that, then I'm her girl. I know I'm not everybody's coach because I'm a very direct person anyway. And I know that's just how God created me. I've always been that person. I've been that person who, when I ask the questions no one wants to ask in a meeting or wherever. I've always been that person. And so I like, if she's ready, and I always use the word ready, because if you're not ready, there's not going to be any change or transformation. And I'm not going to fight you for your transformation. A coach brings out what's already in you. I don't craft and create and remold you. That's something you have to be ready for based on your willingness.
Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. She said a coach, we got to talk about it. A coach will bring what's out of you. So somebody please put that in the chat. You got to understand, as coaches and as leaders, we're not putting it in you. We're trying to get what's out of you. And let's talk about that a little bit, because I know, a lot of people feel like that's one reason why they don't see coaching. But they have to understand that that's not our ability. I guess I don't want to say ability. Our ability is to help you pull what's inside of you out, so that you can be the better person that you want to be, or the servant that you want to be to someone else. But we can't implant those things in your mind. Right. I think, what was it? Oh my God, I had a note a while back, but keep going. Answer that question. I'm trying to find this.
So when people, they have a misunderstanding about coaching. I want you to coach me and tell me what I should do. And like, we already are off to the wrong step, because a coach does not tell you what to do, so to speak. If you think about, I love sports, and I have a great nephew who is a running back phenom. Go Packers. And so he's a rookie at the Packers. And so I'm getting updates from his mom and telling him how amazing he's doing. And like, it's not surprising to us, that's who he is. But they're not coaching him to be that great player. They're pulling out of him by the things and the challenges that he has ahead of him. He already knows what he has in him. So the coaches he's had along his life have pulled out this excellence and helped pointing him to that leadership. They haven't given him this excellence. It's already there. They're helping develop it. A coach does not tell you, you're going to do this right here. If you do this right here, do this right here, do this right here, but like I did, then you'll be this person. That's why that's that discordant. That's why there are a lot of people like, I paid tens of thousands of dollars to this person. They didn't help me. They weren't the right person for you, because you were looking for something. They were looking for something, and it wasn't the same thing. So a coach doesn't do that. They just don't do that. They bring together people of a certain skill set to be able to accomplish the goal. And so what's in you is something that, if you look back at your life, if you look back across your life, even when you were little, there's a theme of who you already are. Like I said, I was coaching for years and didn't realize it. And so it's a theme. It's been a theme throughout my whole life. And so look back. It's part of that whole inventory thing. Now, what were you going to say? You're going to say something.
Listen, I got it. I found this. Listen, I found two things that me and you both were a part of. And I want to just kind of talk about it, because you know what, this was really real. And I thought about this, and I even, take this concept, or what I'm going to say, which we both learned together, which was about John Maxwell. It says, if you have to talk someone in to their dream, then we got to let them go. Mm-hmm. Okay, so y'all listen to what we just said. That's something that, you know what, it is so true. And just like Miss B. Jeters just said to you, that if you get into a coach and you saying, hey, this coach wasn't, I spent all this money, girl, they didn't do nothing. This wasn't right for me. But did you hear what I just said? If you have to talk someone into their dream or their passion, then we got to let them go, because I'm not the right coach for you. Remember, we're pulling it out of you. We're not talking you into it.
Right.
Because guess what? We didn't go to bed with you and sleep and have all those amazing dreams that fly through your head at night.
No.
See, that's not what a coach does. And so you really have to understand the role of the coach that you're actually hiring. And then I want to say too, I wrote it down too. It says, when you own your own dream, then no one can ever talk you out of it. I took those two things away when we had our conversation, and I was like, it's so true. Like, and that goes back to when we were talking about mindset and, making that transformation and getting into that why. Right. I hope you're all writing this down. When we get into that why, you know what? If we really know truly that this is why we're doing what we're doing, and we know where it's going to take us, that no one can talk us out of it.
No matter how strange or how wild it looks to somebody else. Like, I saw this thing on Facebook and it said, when God gave you that idea, it wasn't a conference call.
Oh, girl, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Wait a minute. I got to write that down. Say it for the people in the back. Say it for the people in the back.
This is on Facebook. It ain't come from me. It said when God gave you.
I ain't heard it. And I'm sure some of our audience ain't heard it. If you heard it, put a 1 in. And if you ain't heard it, put a 0 in the comment. Say it to me again so I can write that down. This is no taker, money maker stuff.
When God gave you the idea, it was not a conference call. He gave it to you. And like you were saying, when you're wedded to what you know, when you know what you know, this is where I'm supposed to be, the challenges become opportunities. The challenges you see become opportunities. When I know I'm supposed to be a world-renowned sprinter, that hurdle, I'm going to jump over it and I'm going to clear it and I'm going to go across the finish line first. That's the mentality of how a lot of sports people are, because they're just like, I'm getting to the end zone. I'm knocking this ball out of the park. I'm going to get a goal. I'm doing whatever. And they attack the game, or they use their skill sets. Like we said before, coaching is not pouring stuff in you. It's helping you get the resources. Because it's first, where are you? I'm looking at some notes I have when I do coaching. Is establishing your focus. Where are you now? Where do you want to be in the future? It's all about you. What are the resources that will help you get to the future state or to the other side? What are the barriers? What are your blocks, obstacles? You kind of help people just unblock things. It's kind of like the nitty gritty is taking you through that. And then you get, what's your action plan? What you going to do about it? I can't do it. I can't do your stuff for you, but I can help you see what things that you need to do probably.
Woo woo. That's a woo 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 woo. Really? Oh my God. Listen, y'all know I got to take my glasses on and off. Listen, that was some good juice. That was some good juice. Because what I'm telling you, the first time a person gets a roadblock, and I've seen it, I've even experienced, sometimes when I get a roadblock, I'm like, I'm ready to stop. I'm just like, this is just not going anywhere. But B, you made such a good point, because it's about you and where you're going and what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because we know, I always say that, the GPS, you know what? You're going to have those roadblocks. Everybody got GPS. They got it in their phone. They got it in their car. And when you get to that roadblock, what does the GPS do? It takes you on a different route. And that's what we have to do when it comes even into our business, even when we're making the transformation. When you decide, hey, I went from corporate to here now, guess what? I'm getting rerouted. And now I got to figure out, how long it's going to take me to get to where I'm going. But I'm going to need some proper tools and resources to get there. And I got to be willing to invest. Would you agree?
You better be you got to be not just willing, but ready to invest. Because if you're not going to invest in you, why do you expect somebody else to?
Why do you expect somebody else to?
And when you run those roadblocks, think about it like this. If you're on your way to work or you're on your way to a destination, you're driving to Florida, you're driving to whomever's house, and somebody has a wreck. And you're like, I'm turning around and go home. Really? You're like, no.
You got to get there because you told somebody you was going to get there.
or you let somebody know I'm going to be delayed for a few minutes. There's a wreck up above. Or you try to get to the next exit to reroute, to get around the wreck or whatever the obstacle is to get to your destination. You're not going to let it get to your destination. If you have turbulence on a plane, you're not going to be like, turn this thing around, I'm going back home. No. If you're delayed at the airport, unless they cancel your flight, you still going to try to push to your destination. So it's the same kind of mentality. It's all about mentality and perspective. And it does hurt. It is scary. It's a scary place. Entrepreneurship is a scary place. Now, sometimes you may have the luxury of quitting your job and moving on, but you may not have that. Sometimes you may be landed that your job being eliminated in 3 weeks and they're going to give you $500. And you're like, wait a minute. So you got to figure, what am I going to do next? You may have to get a job. That's one thing, but what is your exit plan? What is your plan? It's still an exit plan. And I remember my dad used to say something. We were talking two things. We were talking about, our why and our passion about something and what we're supposed to do. I remember watching television with him. I think we were watching some sports, probably his beloved Dallas Cowboys, probably. And the lady, something about the piano. And I was like, oh, I want to play the piano. And he says, have you talked to Rebecca? And I was like, Rebecca was our pianist at church when I was younger. And I said, no. And he said, did you look? He asked me, do you have a book about the piano? And I was like, no. And he says, do you know how you're going to get lessons? And I was like, no. He goes, then you don't want to do it. Because I had not done anything to get to that, to even take me to that point. I said what I wanted to do.
Absolutely.
And he also asked me, I said, I want to do X, Y, Z. His first thing was always asking, what's your plan?
What's the plan?
I was just doing something simple. That was always that. And that used to drive me crazy, but now I understand it. And I do that to my son. It's hysterical. But yeah, it's all about the mentality. It's your mindset. It's your perspective. You can either see the glass half full, the glass half empty, or look at the fact that the glass at one time was empty. Now it's got something in it. And at one time it was full and somebody was able to take some water out of it and be refreshed. It's how you look at it. It's having that perspective.
Listen, I gotta say this before we answer these questions. The chat blowing up. Listen, God didn't give you that idea. What you say? God didn't give you the idea. It's not a conference call.
When God gave you that idea, it was not a conference call. When God gave you that idea, it was not a conference call.
Yeah, it wasn't a conference call. Oh, listen, you better let that get to you. Sit and marinate. For all us entrepreneurs, you know what? I don't know where you got the post from, but you know what? I didn't see it. Listen, Brandy didn't see it either. So guess what? That's something to sit and think about, because you know what? We are so unique in our own way and we have so much, but it ain't no conference call. So listen, I'm going to go now. Let me see. Let me go over here. I got to put my glasses on. Miss Sabrina Allison said, shut your mouth and keep on talking, Miss Jackie. She said, come on here. She said, count her thing. She said, count her thing.
You better count it up.
Her thing. She said, count. Okay, so I want to go up here and listen. We had a couple of questions. Let me see. Let's start this one. Okay, so he said I'm going to say Mr. Ridgway, because I you know what? I'm horrible with names. And I don't want to mess up nobody's name. But he said, Mr. Ridgway said, for me, it isn't about having an elevator pitch, but knowing what makes you unique and being able to articulate that in the mix of a conversation. Yes, yes. You know what? I think for me, when I'm talking all the time, and really when I talk, I don't really talk to sell. I think it just happens to, at the end, they'd be like, oh my God, how can I connect with you? Or what do you do? Or, I think I'm just really authentically having a conversation, because it is about the person who I'm talking to. It's not about me. I don't have the I syndrome. I mean, what about you? I mean, I'm listening. One thing about networking is that we have to be good listeners.
Exactly.
And if we're not good listeners, we can't really help our prospects.
We can't. And I think, again, it goes back to the mentality of the reason why you're approaching someone or whatnot. Like I said, it's just people can sniff out that when you're not authentic. They can be like, no, that used car salesman kind of feel. You can sniff that out. If you just be yourself, like Mr. Ridgway said, it's just that, articulate that in the mix of the conversation. You don't come out like with, here's my card, because that's going to really shut me all the way down. I may stand there and look at you for a minute. I'm not listening. But I can pretend that I am. It's like, oh, okay. Uh-huh. And I'm making a grocery list in my head or something, but, or thinking about which way am I going to take when I go home or whatever it is.
You know what? And it becomes the body language too. You know what? When you're having a conversation, let me tell y'all, when y'all having a conversation and you know that somebody is not paying attention to you because of the way you approach them, it's going to be through their body language.
Yes.
You have to understand, and look, that's a whole nother topic. But when somebody gives you this kind of awkward body language, you better figure out another way to try to grab their attention because they're not paying attention to you. Go in with value, go in with some value added. I always say that when you go, especially into a networking event, whether it's in person or it's on Zoom, the conversation is at the back of the line. Listen, the conversation starts on a virtual at the end because you've gotten able to take all that information. And we have to understand how to work that. And you know what? There's body language on a Zoom. Okay, y'all. So even if you start talking about what you're doing, what is it the thing they say what you do in 12 words or less? We don't want to go drawn out, I'd say throw that 30-second pitch away. But if you can tell me what you do in 12 words or less that grabs my attention, then you know what? You're probably gonna have a pretty good conversation.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just like Mr. Ridgway said, it's just about being able to understand and read that in the conversation. And so it's not about that preconceived and that pre-thing of I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna meet 5 people. All the things we learned about networking before. Mm-hmm. I don't even like the word networking as much as it's really it's just a conversation. It's getting to know someone, especially since a lot of things are done in social media. Mm-hmm. People, if you don't grasp them in the first, like, what is it, 30 seconds or 30 or 45 seconds, they're like, click, I can go somewhere else. They get the exit thing. So it's all about not just catching their attention, but just being you. Do you have enough confidence in who you are that you can hold someone's attention?
Oh, you just said it. Listen, do you have enough confidence? That's a topic by itself, confidence. Because what we think is our confidence, you know what? Let's do an inventory. Let's do a self-check. You know what I'm saying? Some people can be a little bit cockier more in other way. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lack of confidence sometimes that it stops you from being able to grab or get the customer that you want.
This is your authentic self. You have to be, first you got to know who you are, why you're in the room, why you quote unquote deserve to be in that space. If you're at an actual networking event. Like I said, networking can happen anywhere. It can happen at the grocery store, on a train, it can happen anywhere because you just don't know. People start talking. My oldest sister, living sister, she talks to everybody. And I'm telling you, she knows everybody just from a lot of different things. They're like, oh, hey, Miss Jeter. I remember her taking a picture at my nephew's football game when he was in high school. And I was like, how are you sitting beside Jason Campbell? He was a former football quarterback for the Redskins. And she's like, who? And she goes, oh, that's just JC. She just talking to him. She don't know who. She didn't ask him what he did, who he is, and nothing like that. She just talking to him. And she has met so many people like that who have poured into her life in different ways and just, been that quote unquote networking space for him. But the same way that she met him like that, he met my family in Atlanta that way because his nephew and my nephew were good friends. So it has enough. It's about just being authentic and flowing comfortably. But back to the thing about the confidence piece is that one thing someone told me about something, we kind of heard this the other day about not comparing yourself to other people. And I think a lot of that comes in, that's one of the big hurdles of entrepreneurship is comparing yourself. Well, they're already got a makeup line. They already got a lipstick line. Go down the bread aisle in the grocery store. How many things of bread are there? Because somebody like wheat, somebody like honey wheat, somebody like thick bread.
You got Wanda, you got
for somebody. But those manufacturers, right? Yeah, those manufacturers aren't saying somebody already got wheat bread. I won't make any. they are making the wheat bread and it tastes the way it tastes for them. Think about, I mean, just so being your authentic self and being and coming in confidently, not smugly or like you said before, rudely or pompously, but coming in confidently. Because confidence attracts people.
It and really
it's in your body language. You didn't even open your mouth.
Listen, you might not have could sell a lick or nothing, but if you bust into that door wide open, confident that you own the room, trust me, you're gonna get some clients. Listen, and when you talked about too, I think a lot of people kind of lack that confidence too when they see, because listen, there is no competitors. We are all winners. We don't compete with each other. We're all winners. There are competitors, but we're all winners. Okay, we don't compete. So when you walk into a room and you got to have that confidence, like, girl, I own this thing. They came here to see just me right here. That's kind of confidence you got to have. Okay, real quick. So the business term is workflow, means many of us don't have a process to execute that. Right. We talked about, making sure that, you have an exit plan. When you get ready to walk out of there, have it a thorough plan. I always say have A, B, C, and D, just in case if, A didn't work, now you can fall back on B.
Right.
But to kind of have a plan to know the good and the bad. I always, when I get a sheet of paper and when I'm getting ready to do something, I weigh the pros and cons of each.
Exactly. That's part of the nitty gritty.
I'm loving some of that nitty gritty, some of that good nitty gritty. Okay, so listen, let me see. Okay, we didn't have somebody say, girl, shut your mouth. Oh, that's me. Okay, girl, go on with your best. Come on here. One said, hold it. This is not Build-A-Bear. Listen, you show right. This is not Build-A-Bear.
It's not Build-A-Bear. And I think, again, that's where the disconnect comes with coaching. Coaching is a bad rap in ways. People are like, oh, they ain't a good coach. They didn't tell you what you need to do. You just told on yourself, because a good coach is not going to tell you what to do. So coaching is not cloning. I'm not cloning a person of who I am for you, because what you want to do is not what I do. So I don't have to fully be in your industry. I can understand your industry and understand those things, but it's about, like I said before, pulling that stuff out, helping you to see where are you want to be, what are the hurdles, how are we going to get there, and what's the plan.
It's almost really like brainstorming. You know what I'm saying? Everybody look that up. We ain't gonna go into it, but it's brainstorming. And do we have to pay somebody to help us do that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we got to get out of our own way. We are so in our way that we can't listen. We're not going to get to our destination, just like we talked about the GPS, because we think we got it all mapped out. We think that we know everything, but we don't.
If COVID didn't teach us anything, it taught us that life comes at you fast. Now, if you were in what is it? What is it? I can't think. We started this in 2020
before COVID.
And so if you were 5 years earlier in 5 years before 2020, and someone asked you the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I guarantee you didn't say, I might be in a pandemic. You didn't. And so what it's taught us is to be ready, to be agile, to be able to move and change at anything. You'll be able to transform. There's a thing called, we say it all the time, and you've heard it all the time, probably, the Great Resignation, where millions of people quit like in months. If you go to a restaurant, I bet you, if you went to 3 restaurants this week, at least 2 of them are going to say help wanted. And the other one, you may not see the sign, because people are in a different mindset. They're doing stuff that they want to do. And they're like, I've seen people die. I didn't get this right here done. One of my high school friends said this the other day. She had just come back from Europe, and she said that it was on her bucket list. And so things that she wanted to do quickly. She wanted to do some things that she wanted to stop putting on her bucket list is her getting done list. Mm-hmm. And so she said something that was very, very stark to me. And I don't know if it's a quote or if it was her quote, but she said, I want to die with memories and not dreams.
Girl.
When I leave here, I'm going to have memories and not dreams.
Dream. Girl.
And so I think a lot more people in that mindset because of the things that has happened in the past 2 years. And if you're not, it's time for inventory, because COVID, nothing's going. This is our normal. People, I hope that when you get to normal, this is normal. If you're waiting for February 2020 to come or 1999 to come, you're gonna be waiting forever because it's not coming back like that.
But it's that transformation, just like you said. Listen, this is how we transform, and that's why I don't care. People can say to you, "What's your why?" You got to really understand that thing. What I'm telling you, girl, I'm probably going to say it wrong again. When God gives you an idea, it's not a conference call. Girl, I'm in the nitty gritty. Girl, you got to get down to that nitty gritty.
Yeah.
To understand. And listen, Miss Jacqueline Jeter is going to help you with that nitty gritty. But I'm telling you, those are some important things. I mean, I know that when people talk, they kind of just brush over it. But now is not the time. Now, right here today, with everything that we have going on, it's not the time. It is time, you guys, to get ourselves together, get the help and the assistance and the resources that we need so we can, like you said, listen, have what it was, memories.
I want to leave this place with memories and not dreams.
And not dreams. Because dreams, we know what happened with dreams, right? But we know memory can last a long time. Okay, real quick, our last question. I can't even read. When we're not sincere, it's oftentimes keep people from the blessings we have to give them. That's true.
That's perfect, Brandy. It is. It's true because when we're not sincere, people never get to see the real you.
They don't.
And that's a movement that God has really given me for that, for women in the mid 40s of just that catalyst. It's called Unmask, Unmute, Unleash. And so in that is taking that mask off. Because a lot of times we wear these masks and we've been walking around. I'll give you a real quick snippet, a story. During COVID, when they allowed us, I live in North Carolina, where it could be a lot of seasons in a day, but in July it's hot. Hot and steamy. And in July of 2020 is before we had the nice little paper mask. And we had a friend of mine had made some masks. She's a sew. And she made cloth masks, and she made them real thick. She said they had me triple thick. And I'm like, I can't breathe in this thing. But I went to Sam's and it was hot. When I got to the door, my glasses fogged up, everything disappeared because it was hot. Got my stuff, came out of Sam's. Sweat was pouring off me when I got to the door. When I left, weighed it down with water and stuff, it was even hotter. And I was like, I cannot wait to get to this car. I just threw stuff into the trunk. And it was like, I just gotta get this car. The car turned air on, and I just can't wait. And I ripped the mask off. And I heard as loud as I'm saying to you right now, why does this mask bother you and all the other ones don't?
Girl. Woo woo.
I was like, okay, God, I feel you.
Woo.
You can sucker punch me like that, but yeah. So that's where Unmask, Unmute, Unleash is born, because we wear too many masks, and it's time to take them off, because you can't get to, when you're masked, you can't hear your voice appropriately. You're muted. Once you get the mask off, you become unmuted. And once you become those two, you can then become unleashed in who you are, you're supposed to be, and make that impact.
Take off the mask. When you leave this place, how about that? Take off the mask that's really bothering you. Shoot. Oh my God. Okay, Miss. I love you to death. Listen, we are at the top of the hour, but I want my audience to know how they can connect with you, what you have coming up. You have some amazing things that's coming up that they can get involved with. Just tell our audience how they can do that.
So you can connect with me best at B Jacqueline Jeter or Grow, Lead, and Prosper on Facebook and Instagram. Website's under development. It'll come soon. Or you can email me at Jacqueline at Grow, Lead, and Prosper. Some things that have coming up, I'll put them in the actual feed after, so you can go back to those. I have a free, no-cost masterclass called The Fit Perspective Growth Spurt. That's going to be on this coming Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll put that in the link. And I'll put also my link for a discovery call, so we can talk about what it is that your needs are, and so I can best fit you or let you know what other programs that you can best fit your desire.
Now listen, y'all. She's giving y'all a lot of ways to connect with her. She's even giving you some free stuff. Now, come on. This is what I'm talking about. When we get these resources, we got to really, really be able to use them. But she's here to help you. So please book a call with her. Please attend her master class that's coming up on Monday. Get some of this juice. You can never, ever get enough of juice. So listen, it's been fun. We do this every Tuesday. It's Talk to Me Tuesday. Let me just kind of drop a few things. One of the resources I want to leave with you is I am one of the co-hosts for HNP, which is Happy Neighborhood Project. Listen, if you could do business anywhere in the world, you need to be at this particular networking event. Listen, I network all over the world, but as I'm networking, I'm making sure that I'm showing up because I know how the numbers game works. But listen, if your calendar is not full, if you're not talking to prospects after you leave this call, then I need for you to be at HMP. It's tomorrow. It's at noontime central. So please make sure that you're there. My last thing is that I am the publisher of Tapped In magazine. We are gearing up for our August edition. We have 3 slots left for our women's edition, and we have 3 slots left for our men's edition. So we are looking to be able to promote you worldwide. We have over 350 online connections for you. So make sure that you tune in. But until the meantime, listen, have a great day and look, PPP. You got to be down with PPP. I just made a post. So go positive.